Long-distance swimmer Ben Lecomte is attempting to swim 300 nautical miles through the so-called plastic vortex, a 3-month journey through the highest concentration of ocean plastic in the world. But his mission is not so much about endurance as drawing attention to the dire effects of plastic pollution in our oceans. 1 month into the vortex swim, Ben says the greatest threat is not so much the plastic we see, but trillions of invisible microfibres clogging up our oceans and threatening marine life. We're about to cross to Ben on his support boat, but first, let's take a look at his mission.
The vortex swim, it's about bringing attention on an area of the ocean referred to as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's the highest concentration of plastic debris and microfiber in the ocean. And I will be swimming in the plastic vortex.
And Ben Lecomte joins us now from the middle of the plastic vortex. Hi, Ben. Tell us where you are exactly.
Good evening. Right now we're about halfway in between Hawaii and San Francisco. So we're 1,000 miles away from Hawaii, 1,000 miles away from San Francisco, right in the middle of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
So you're halfway through the vortex swim. Congratulations. You've been ocean swimming for 30 years. What inspired you to take on this challenge?
Well, for me, I've been affected a lot by what I have seen for the past 30 years that I've done open water swimming, and I use swimming as a way to get the attention. It's a way for me to express myself. So I think it's a passion that I have, and it's a way that I try to get attention on the issue. So the ocean is very important to me. I've seen the changes in the many years that I have swum, and try to use that as a way to get people interested in the problem.
And the problem you're talking about is that you've been swimming through this so-called plastic vortex, also known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. When we hear that, we picture a great big floating island of plastic. But tell us what it looks like.
Yes, exactly. It's a misconception. There is no big plastic island floating, but it's a very high density of microplastics. So in the core of the vortex right now, when we are collecting microplastic with our net and we tow for 30 minutes, we collect more than 3,000 pieces of plastic during that 30 minutes. So it's about 100 pieces of microplastic that we collect every minute for the highest tow we have done. So it's highly concentrated, and you don't see anything at the naked eye. When we swim, we see lots of big debris, lots of plastic floating around, but the story is being told when we collect the microplastic and look at what we find in our net.
What you're describing is not so much the plastics you see. It's not the single-use plastics that we think of that are the problem. It's the plastics you don't see that are causing greater harm. What evidence have you come across out there of these synthetic microfibers?
Yeah, so the microplastic comes from breaking down of any type of plastic, and then also you have the problem of microfiber, something that you don't see, something that we collect as well by doing filtering the water, and then after those little filters would be analyzed by scientists on land. But it comes from washing our clothes on land, and then the microfiber just go to the filters because we don't have a capacity of keeping the microfiber when we wash our clothes, and at the end it ends up in the ocean. So, in for microplastic, we have seen found plastic in the stomach of fish that we have fished. So it affects the sea life, definitely.
When you're out there doing this swim, you're finding out this information you're telling us now. This is very much a research mission as well. What are you going to do with the data you collect during this swim?
Yeah, so what we will have is that by the end of that expedition, we will be the first expedition doing a full transect of collecting data throughout the Pacific Ocean. And we collect data on deep debris, we collect data on microplastic, we collect data on microfibers, and also on organisms that grows on those pieces of plastic. So we will provide additional data to the already big information that scientists have about the plastic and the impact on the ocean. But I think what we are doing here is also trying to get as much awareness as possible on the problem and realizing that plastic is in the ocean because of our habit on land, and it's time to make some changes.
You're going to enormous lengths, that's an understatement, to highlight this problem. You're swimming some 8 hours a day, and as we said, it's 3 months that you're in the water. Describe what you go through each day, the physical and mental struggle of the challenge.
Yeah, it's very painful being out here in a very hostile environment. So doing already an exercise or exercising for 8 hours, it has its challenges. But here, being in the middle of nowhere and in the salt water, after a few hours, you are going to have some rub on your skin because of the wetsuit. The salt water in your mouth is going to make your tongue and your lips swell up. So it's physically tackling, and then you are looking at the same background all the time. So mentally, it's the biggest challenge. I think it's mind over matter. So you have to be prepared for that. I prepared myself for that and use a different type of techniques to be more on a zoning with my mind. I am trying to make my own movies and try to disconnect my mind from my body. But then after, when you are finished with the day and go on back on the boat, and it's not like I can have a nice night because of the weather and because it's not easy to sleep on a boat either. It's always rocking, and the food, we have no fresh food, so it's not the best condition. So everything makes it very challenging, but it's worth doing.
Have you been struck by the amount of plastic you've seen as you're swimming along?
Oh yes, it's always every day, every hour, I see plastic, and when you're on deck and you can see plastic floating, and that's one perspective. But when you are swimming, you see also all the ecosystems that are created around the plastic, all the fish that are there around the debris, the algae, and then all the crabs that live on those pieces of plastic. That that there is an impact going on. And then when you tow the net and get all those microplastics, you realize that the microplastics live very closely to the small organisms, the plankton, the small jellyfish that are embedded with microplastics also. So there is something wrong there.
We can only hope that your efforts don't go to waste, and this swim draws attention to what people can do back home about this and to become more conscious of using plastics. Can you see the end in sight? You're halfway through?
I try not to look at the end. I try to live, every day as it comes. And if I know that I do my 7, 8 hours or how many hours I need to swim per day, I meet my contract, and I know that at the end of the project I will be finished and I will do what I was expecting to do. But I cannot wrap my mind around. I have another 100 miles to swim. I have another month to be at sea and doing that. So I just take it as it comes, one day at a time.
We wish you all the best, Ben, and thank you for pausing to take time to talk to us here in Australia.